What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I'm titling it Who Should Upgrade to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So I've been using the 16 Pro Max for roughly about 24 hours and I have some thoughts about it and I'm going to share about the brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. First thing you'll notice about the brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max is none other than the color. So this is the brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max Desert Titanium. It looks a little bit like the iPhone XS and iPhone 13 Pro Max Rose Gold color. So that is the brand new color for the newest 16 Pro Max as well as the 16 Pro series. And also brand new is the new camera control button right here. And that is something we'll talk about later on in the video. So another new thing about the brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max is the new display of this iPhone. So this iPhone is 6.9 inches as compared to the previous generation iPhone, which is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and that is 6.7 inches. Now what is the difference apart from the inches is that it does have a thinner bezel as compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So is that a huge difference? Not really. In day-to-day you don't really notice the difference, but if you do put the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max side by side, you should be able to tell that there is some sort of differences going on. So next, let's talk about what's new with the 16 Pro Max, and that is the camera control button, right? That's the headlining feature of this year's entire lineup of iPhones. So with the camera control button, you can do everything that the camera app can do, but just with a click of a button. In actual use case, it actually isn't as useful as compared to what Apple has advertised, but it is quite convenient if you're just trying to zoom into a photo and you don't want to touch the screen if maybe your fingers are wet. So it is an actual button. So I know there are many videos of it, of Apple executives saying that it is not a button, it is a camera control feature built into the iPhone, but it is an actual button, and if you do long press it, there is a haptic feedback where you can scroll through to different menus and adjust different settings. So it is basically just like an action button, but it is only just for camera features. So that is something brand new with the iPhone 16 Pro series. Another thing that is brand new with the iPhone 16 series is the audio mix feature. So what that means is that you can record a video, 4K video, doesn't matter, just a video on the iPhone, and when you go into settings, you can see that only on the 16 series, so it doesn't matter if you have a 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro or 16 Pro Max, you can also get that feature. So what that allows you to do is basically, with the new chip, the A18 chip inside the brand new iPhones this year, you'll be able to select your iPhone being able to voice isolate your voice as compared to any other voice in the background. So let's say you're recording in a very noisy environment, you'll be able to only focus on your voice, but if you don't want that, you can have it focus on the background noise as well. So it depends on how you want to customize the sound. So it's really cool. And also one new thing about the 16 Pro Max and the 16 Pro series is that you do get 4 studio microphones instead of the previous microphones found on the 15 Pro Max. So audio quality on videos should definitely be improved, and I'll talk more about that later on. And this is the audio sample of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Let me know what you guys think. Is there a difference in audio quality? Supposedly there is, because right now there's 4 studio microphones on the 16 Pro Max. And this is the audio sample of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Let me know what you guys think. Is there a difference in audio quality? Supposedly there is, because right now there's 4 studio microphones on the 16 Pro Max. And finally, the new feature that's also coming to the 16 Pro as well as the 16 Pro Max is the new 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, so that you can take basically better macro shots as compared to the 15 Pro Max. So that is everything you need to know for this year's 16 Pro Max, everything that is new as compared to the 15 Pro Max, and also is the improved durability on the 16 Pro Max. Actually, every iPhone has it. Is the brand new ceramic shield found on the 16 series, so you'll be able to get better drop protection. Obviously, I'm not the kind of YouTuber to drop my iPhone. I don't have the capabilities for that, but you can search on YouTube for drop test. I'm sure there are many, and you can see the durability of this year's iPhones as compared to last year's iPhone. So if you do have the 15 Pro Max, should you upgrade? Well, here are some camera samples for you. So if you're comparing just the primary shooter, so it is a 48 megapixel fusion camera, as what Apple calls it. Is basically the exact same primary camera as last year's 15 Pro Max. In normal conditions, it basically takes the exact same shot. It's really hard to notice the difference, and there are some new photographic styles with the new 16 Pro Max. You can basically adjust the color. It's like color grading in real time before taking the photos. You can select how you want the color to look like before taking the photo, and once you have settled on the color you like, you can just take the photo and it will maintain the whole color profile whenever you take a picture in the future. So that's pretty cool, and that's only found on this year's iPhone. So that is the main camera found on the 16 Pro Max, and then the telephoto camera is a 12 megapixel 5 times optical zoom camera. So if we were to compare it to last year's 15 Pro Max, again in normal conditions it would take pretty much the exact same shot. If you zoom in, you can tell maybe a little bit of difference, but in normal bright daylight conditions you can barely tell the difference. There is nothing to worry about if you do take a lot of zoom shots. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky when we come to the ultra wide camera. So the ultra wide camera is 48 megapixels as compared to 12 megapixels on the 15 Pro Max. Now you have to enable the JPEG lossless format in order to shoot 48 megapixel ultra wide camera. So once you've enabled that, you do see that hopefully when I do post the photos, it is much clearer, at least 20 to 25% more detail as compared to the 15 Pro Max. So if you love to take macro shots, I would suggest that you do upgrade to the 16 Pro Max. So when it comes to nighttime photography, obviously with increased resolution and better aperture, you do get more brighter photos. So you can see the primary camera, the ultra wide camera, and the telephoto camera, the photos are brighter with greater detail. Apple has also tweaked their softwares a little bit, whereby instead of trying to smoothen out the shot and making it seem very smoothen out, it actually makes it more detailed. So if that is something you like, that is what Apple is going for, and normally I think usually the photos do look better on the 16 Pro Max. So if you do like night photography, then yes, you should upgrade to the 16 Pro Max as well. And one more thing, if you do like to shoot slow motion, so this year Apple has introduced 4K 120 frames per second. Now to enable this feature, you have to go into settings and you have to enable the 4K 120 frames per second option. Now it is not a separate camera function, so you don't have to go all the way to the slow-mo feature part of the camera app to record in 4K 120 frames per second. All you need to do is enable the 4K 120 frames per second in your camera settings, and then you go back to the camera app, and if you see 4K 120 frames in your main camera app, then you're good to go. So you can record in 4K 120 frames per second, and then once you go into the settings, you can choose which frame rates you want: 120 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and then 24 frames per second. So you can slow it all the way down to 24 frames per second, and you do get the exact same quality as you would get if you shoot a normal 4K 60 video, or a 4K 30 or a 4K 24 frames per second video, just that it is slowed down in full detail. So the videos actually look really good. because it is using the same camera sensor as you would on any other video format. So that is pretty cool, pretty sick. So if you do love to shoot slow motion video, I do think that the 16 Pro series this year is a huge improvement over the 15 Pro Max. Other than that, action mode is still the same for both the 16 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max. You still do get really stable footage even when I'm running, so that in itself is still the same, not much differences. And then there is the selfie camera as well, again exactly the same as last year's 15 Pro Max, still shoots at 12 megapixel. So if you do want a better selfie camera, maybe you have to wait for next year's iPhone 17 series. So that is all for the camera part of the iPhone. Let's talk about the improved battery life. Now I can't really comment too much on battery life because I've only been testing this phone for about 24 hours, but I don't really know yet, so I can't give you like a clear picture on how battery life is, but it does seem to be improved as compared to last year's 15 Pro Max, and I would hope so because the battery capacity is bigger and the chip is better as well. It is using the A18 Pro chip, which is supposedly much better at efficiency compared to last year's A series chip found on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So if you do like all these new features that I've mentioned, then you should upgrade from the 15 Pro Max to the 16 Pro Max. Now comes the kicker. If you don't like any of these features, you just find them convenient, maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't, then if you're from the 15 Pro Max, you shouldn't upgrade to the 16 Pro Max. Now if you're from a 14 Pro Max, if you like the new zoom camera, because you're from a 14 Pro Max, you wouldn't have the 5x optical zoom, you only have 3 times, and then all other features that I mentioned, and you also do get a much better battery as compared to your 14 Pro series. So if you do enjoy the action button as well as any of the other features that I've mentioned, then you should get the 16 Pro Max. Now if you are an iPhone 13 Pro series or below, I definitely do think that you should upgrade to this year's 16 Pro Max. Basically you get brand new camera, you get a 48 megapixel main camera, you get a brand new telephoto camera with 5x optical zoom, you do even get a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera, you get the new action button, you get the new camera control button, you get better battery life, you get the new audio mix feature, and you also do get the new 6.9 inch screen, which is much bigger as well as slimmer bezels. So all these combined, I do think is worth it if you're upgrading from a iPhone 13 Pro series and below. I do think it is worthy of an upgrade. So that is all for this year's iPhone review. Apple AI hasn't come out yet, so I'm still waiting for Apple Intelligence. It is out in October, supposedly 18.1 comes with new cleanup feature, which basically allows you to remove any people or objects you want from the photo. There's also transcriptions if you're into it, so you can basically record your voice and then it will transcribe the words for you in real time, so that's pretty cool as well. And I think that's all the AI features. Still waiting for Genmoji, visual intelligence, personal contacts. I think those are really the core of Apple Intelligence, so I really hope Apple rolls them out as soon as possible. Obviously don't roll them out if they are still not polished, but once they're polished, you know, do roll them out as soon as possible, because Apple's tagline for this year's iPhone is that these iPhones are built for Apple Intelligence. So hopefully they do release them as soon as possible, because I really want to test out the Apple Intelligence feature. So when they do come out, I'll definitely make a video on it and update my iPhone 16 Pro Max video and say whether all these AI features really do work better on the new iPhone as compared to last year's or previous generations sorry, it only works with last year's iPhone 15 Pro Max. So yeah, we'll compare them and see whether or not it is faster and more accurate. So yeah, that is all for my video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy this video, do like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell notification icon so you don't miss my next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall catch you guys in my next video, hopefully soon. Take care and goodbye.